Chapter 10. Historical Precedents for a Federated Stewardship Village Network. When considering a new social architecture, the first question many thinkers will ask is simple: has anything like this ever worked before? The Federated Stewardship Village Network model is not an attempt to invent human cooperation from scratch. Rather, it draws from patterns that have appeared repeatedly throughout history whenever communities organized around shared responsibility, village-scale relationships, and long-term stewardship of land and resources. While no historical system perfectly mirrors the model proposed in this book, several societies demonstrate key elements of its structure. Among the most instructive examples are the communal villages of the Shakers and the federated governance system of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. Each developed durable social systems that prioritize shared infrastructure, distributed responsibility, and community resilience. Together, they offer valuable insights into how human societies can organize themselves around cooperation rather than competition. The religious movement known as the Shakers established a network of intentional communities across the United States, beginning in the late 18th century. At their height in the mid-1800s, the Shakers maintained nearly 20 villages and several thousand members. Each Shaker community functioned as a self-sufficient economic ecosystem. Members worked in agriculture, carpentry, medicine, textiles, seed production, food preservation, and many other trades. Rather than receiving wages, members were supported by the shared infrastructure of the community. Housing, food, clothing, medical care, and education were provided collectively. No individual accumulated personal wealth, yet the communities became renowned for their prosperity and productivity. Shaker craftsmanship was legendary. Their furniture, tools, and household goods became widely known for their durability and elegance. Their agricultural innovations and seed businesses supplied farmers across the country. Many everyday inventions, such as improved flat brooms, clothespins, and circular saws, emerged from Shaker workshops. Importantly, the Shakers demonstrated that high productivity does not require extreme income inequality. Skilled artisans, farmers, teachers, and laborers lived under largely equal material conditions. Excellence and mastery were still recognized, but social status derived from reliability and contribution rather than wealth accumulation. Visitors frequently described Shaker villages as unusually orderly, peaceful, and industrious communities. Their buildings were well constructed, their farms productive, and their social systems remarkably stable. The primary reason Shaker communities eventually declined was not economic failure but demographic limitation. Because their religious doctrine required celibacy, they relied entirely on new converts for population growth. As fewer people joined in the late 19th century, their population gradually dwindled. The lesson from the Shaker experience is clear. Cooperative economic systems can thrive for generations when supported by strong cultural values and shared infrastructure. Their limitation was not the viability of their economic model, but their inability to sustain the population through families and children. The Federated Stewardship Village Network model retains many of the Shakers' strengths: shared infrastructure, cooperative production, and high standards of craftsmanship, while allowing the generational continuity that family life provides. While the Shakers demonstrate the power of cooperative production within villages, the governance structure of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy illustrates how networks of communities can coordinate without sacrificing local autonomy. The Haudenosaunee, often referred to historically as the Iroquois Confederacy, formed one of the most stable political alliances in North American history. Founded centuries before European contact, the Confederacy united multiple nations including the Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca, and later the Tuscarora. Each nation maintained its own villages, lands, and internal governance. Yet these communities were bound together by a sophisticated constitutional system known as the Great Law of Peace. Rather than consolidating power in a central authority, the Confederacy operated as a federation. Local communities governed their own affairs while sending representatives to councils that coordinated diplomacy, conflict resolution, and matters affecting the Confederacy as a whole. Decisions were typically made through consensus rather than simple majority rule. This process encouraged negotiation and discouraged factional dominance. Leadership was also balanced by social institutions that prevented the consolidation of power. Clan mothers, respected elder women within matrilineal family systems, held the authority to appoint and remove chiefs who failed to serve the community responsibly. This mechanism acted as a powerful safeguard against corruption or authoritarian leadership. Economically, Haudenosaunee villages practiced collective stewardship of land. Agriculture was organized around polyculture systems, most famously the Three Sisters combination of corn, beans, and squash. These crops supported one another ecologically while providing balanced nutrition. Food storage, labor coordination, and mutual aid systems ensured that vulnerable members of the community, such as elders, orphans, widows, or injured individuals, were supported collectively. Food production and distribution were organized around community resilience rather than profit. Anthropologists have long noted that the Confederacy maintained remarkable political stability for centuries. Its structure balanced village-scale relationships with broader coordination across large territories. This model of federation without excessive centralization bears striking similarities to the networked village approach described in this book. Both the Shaker communities and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy share an important feature. Their societies were organized around relatively small, human-scale communities. Village populations were typically small enough that most members knew one another personally. This scale encourages accountability, cooperation, and shared identity. When people interact frequently and relationships are visible, social trust becomes easier to maintain. At the same time, both systems recognize that villages should not exist in isolation. Networks of communities provided redundancy, trade, shared knowledge, and mutual defense. The combination of village autonomy and federation appears repeatedly throughout history as a stable social pattern. Large centralized systems often struggle with bureaucracy, alienation, and power concentration. Small, isolated communities can lack resilience and diversity of skills. Federated village networks balance these two forces by maintaining human-scale relationships while enabling larger coordination when necessary. Another shared element between these historical examples is the importance of cultural storytelling. Both the Shakers and the Haudenosaunee transmitted civic values through narratives, rituals, and education. Children grew up learning not only practical skills, but also the ethical principles that sustain their communities. This cultural continuity reinforced social stability. Governance structures alone are rarely sufficient. They must be supported by shared values and identity. The Federated Stewardship Village Network model likewise depends on cultural transmission. Stories of cooperation, stewardship, and resilience help maintain the moral framework necessary for a cooperative society to function across generations. History offers no perfect blueprint for the future, but it provides powerful evidence that cooperative village systems can function successfully. The Shakers demonstrate the viability of shared infrastructure and cooperative labor. The Haudenosaunee Confederacy illustrates how independent communities can coordinate through federation without sacrificing autonomy. Together, these historical examples reveal a recurring insight. Human societies flourish when organized around communities small enough for meaningful relationships, yet connected through networks capable of coordinating resources and knowledge. The model described here builds on these historical precedents. It integrates the productive communal infrastructure demonstrated by the Shakers with the federated governance structure exemplified by the Haudenosaunee. In doing so, it seeks to revive an ancient pattern of human organization, one that balances cooperation, resilience, and local stewardship while adapting it to the challenges of the modern world.